He has logged over 300 million streams. He has played the hallowed stage of the Grand Ole Opry. His song has echoed through the final cinematic frames of one of the most watched television finales in American history. And yet, he started with nothing but a beat-up guitar, a van with 100,000 miles on it, and a voice that people had been telling to shut up since he was 5 years old. This is not just a story about country music. This is a story about a man who chose the brutal, unforgiving road when every logical voice told him to stay put. A man who bet everything on himself, twice, and nearly lost. A man whose most recent album doesn't hide behind polished production and commercial hooks, but instead tears open the chest of mental health, self-sabotage, and the wreckage that fame can leave behind even before it fully arrives. Tonight, we go unfiltered and uncurated, deep into the world of Tanner Usrey, a journey of grit, sacrifice, ego, and redemption that most of his fans have never fully seen. And if stories like this are what you live for, hit that subscribe button right now, because we do this every single. Now let's get into it. He grew up in the small town of Prosper, Texas, a quiet, unremarkable place far from the glittering lights of Nashville, far from the industry handshakes and the velvet ropes, the kind of town where your destiny is often decided not by dreams but by geography. But Tanner Usrey was never going to let a zip code define him. By the time he was 5 years old, he was already belting out Alan Jackson songs around the house, much to his family's frustration. "Everyone used to tell me to shut up," he later laughed, but the boy would not be silenced. He was the kid in class who sang all day, every day, until teachers and classmates alike could not ignore him. The turning point, the Damascus moment, came during high school. After catching Wade Bowen and Brandon Ryder in concert, his destiny crystallized. He stood in that crowd, watching those men command a stage with nothing but truth and a guitar, and something inside him locked into place like a key turning in a long rusted lock. "That's what I want to do," he told himself. And from that night forward, there was no going back. Inspired by George Strait, Tom Petty, Lynyrd Skynyrd, and his favorite band, Whiskey Myers, he wrote countless songs and cut his teeth at gigs anywhere with a stage. He wasn't waiting for permission. He wasn't waiting for a record deal. He was grinding, playing bars, local venues, small Texas stages, earning every single fan one sweaty show at a time. But he also had to eat. In between those gigs, he held down a job as a skip tracer, a debt recovery investigator, tracking down people who didn't want to be found, all while trying to build a music career that the industry hadn't yet noticed. For 5, 6 years, maybe longer, that was the rhythm of his life. Day job, night stage. Day job, night stage. Then in 2019, he made the leap that terrifies most people and exhilarates only the truly committed. He quit his job and went full-time into music. And almost immediately, the world threw his cruelest joke at him. COVID-19 hit. Venues shut down. Tours evaporated. The entire live music industry collapsed overnight. For most artists, that would have been the end of the story. For Tanner Usrey, it became the fire that forged him. "We would just play wherever we could for however much we could," he recalled. And out of that chaos, out of that grinding survival mode, came something remarkable, the Medicine Man EP. Then came the song that changed everything. Come Back Down generated 19.1 million Spotify streams, followed by Beautiful Lies with 18 million. Just like that, Texas had a new voice, and the world was beginning to listen. But here is what the streaming numbers don't show you. Here is what the applause never reveals. Behind the milestone moments, behind the millions of streams and the packed-out shows, Tanner Usrey was battling something far more personal, something he had been quietly carrying through every mile on that van, every late-night stage, every early morning highway. And it would take his most vulnerable, most exposed body of work to finally let it out into the open. His sophomore album, These Days, produced by Grammy winner Dave Cobb, delves directly into mental health struggles, relationship highs and lows, and deep introspection. This wasn't a commercial pivot. This was a confession, a man standing in the mirror and refusing to look away. In the song Better Weather, he sings with a rawness that no press release could manufacture. "You're the last one that I had. I can't say I blame you if you never do come back." That is not a lyric written from comfort. That is a lyric written from the ruins of something real. And then there's Smoke in the Air, a brooding, bluesy anthem where Usrey captures the helpless self-awareness of someone who cannot stop the destruction he causes, singing, "Everything I touch goes up in flames." When an artist says that, you don't hear a metaphor. You hear a man who has watched his own hands burn down things he loved and couldn't explain why. The grind itself was its own kind of darkness. In 2022 alone, he played over 180 shows and put more than 100,000 miles on the van in a year and a half. That kind of schedule doesn't leave space for healing. It doesn't leave space for relationships. It barely leaves space to breathe. The road at that pace is not glamorous. It is a war of attrition against your own body, your own mind, and every person who ever loved you and needed you to stay still for a moment. And then, in 2026, the darkness came from a completely unexpected direction. Following his appearance at the Rock the Country Festival, a Wyoming man named Baptiste Bradford issued a $30 million death threat against Usrey on Facebook. Bradford was arrested. Tanner announced he would continue his plans as scheduled, no hiding, no cancellations, because this is a man who has already stared down harder things than internet rage and lived to write a song about it. The closing track of These Days, Gasoline and Adderall, sees Usrey railing against a world that has let him down, loud, angry, cathartic, a man finally allowing himself to be furious without apology. The decision to make it right, to put it all on record, to give the pain a song and a title, that was his rehabilitation. Not a rehab facility, not a publicist's careful statement, but art. Raw, unvarnished, bleeding art.
Now, let's talk about the business of Tanner Usrey. Because beneath the flannel and the gravelly vocals is a mind that understands exactly how this industry works and has moved through it with increasing precision. After independently releasing his early EPs and accumulating over 300 million streams, Usrey earned the attention of one of the most powerful labels in the world, Atlantic Records, a home to some of the greatest artists in history. He signed in 2023. But what makes that milestone remarkable is not just the deal itself, it is how he got there. He built his audience independently, without a major label's machinery, without a corporate budget. He earned every single one of those 300 million streams from the road up. His debut album, Crossing Lines, dropped in 2023 via Atlantic Records. His sophomore album, These Days, produced by Grammy winner Dave Cobb, was recorded between Nashville's iconic RCA Studio A and Cobb's Georgia May Studio in Savannah, rooms where legends have bled into microphones for decades. That is not where you record when you are a novelty act. That is where you record when the industry knows your name carries weight. Tanner Usrey makes his money from music. Streaming income, live performances, and merchandise, with his tour and digital platform earnings growing steadily as his profile expands. He performed at Austin City Limits in 2025, one of the most respected music festivals in America. He headlined his own Bad Love tour. He opened for Cody Jinks on the Hippies and Cowboys tour, a massive platform that exposed him to an entirely new audience of hundreds of thousands. His net worth, while not publicly declared in the 8- or 9-figure territory of legacy artists, is rapidly building through the architecture of a man who has chosen ownership, authenticity, and longevity over a quick commercial moment. He is not chasing a hit, he is building a catalog. And in the music business, a catalog is the closest thing to immortality. On the road, Tanner Usrey is not rolling in luxury SUVs and private jets. He is known for the tour van, the same kind of blue-collar vehicle that built the careers of every great Texas country artist before him. He keeps it grounded, intentionally, because the man understands that the moment you lose touch with where you came from, your music loses the only thing that made it matter in the first place. And if this kind of deep dive breakdown is what you've been looking for on YouTube, we want you in this community. Subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications so you never miss a story like this one. Here is what most fans scrolling through his Spotify profile will never know about Tanner Usrey.
Before the Atlantic Records deal, before the Yellowstone sink, before the millions of streams, this man was working as a skip tracer, hunting down debtors for a living in between local gigs that paid just enough to keep the dream alive. He was doing the unglamorous, invisible work that nobody photographs and nobody celebrates, all while writing songs that would eventually move tens of millions of people. He keeps his personal life fiercely private. There is no publicized relationship, no curated celebrity lifestyle. In an era of social media oversharing, Tanner Usrey has chosen mystery as a form of power. He gives you everything through the music and almost nothing through the personal brand, and that restraint, in this era, is genuinely radical. His philosophy is encoded in every song. "I don't shy away from saying the hard things," he has stated plainly. This is a man who has consciously chosen honesty over comfort, rawness over polish, real over marketable. In a genre increasingly dominated by algorithmically designed anthems and designer collaborations, Tanner Usrey is an anomaly, an artist who trusts the audience enough to give them something true. He channels a classic spirit from a deeply personal perspective. His heroes, Tom Petty, Lynyrd Skynyrd, George Strait, were all artists who built careers not on trends, but on character, on the sense that when they stepped on stage, they could not be anyone other than exactly who they were. And that is the tradition Tanner Usrey is reaching toward with everything he has. He is not trying to be famous. He is trying to be heard. And that, perhaps, is the most humanizing truth of all. So, where does Tanner Usrey stand today? He stands at that rare intersection where authenticity and ambition meet without apology. He is a cultural architect of the next chapter of American roots music, a man who took the soul of Texas, the grit of Southern rock, the ache of Americana, and made something that resonates not because it is polished, but because it is painfully, uncompromisingly real. With over 300 million streams, a Grammy-produced sophomore album, a Grand Ole Opry appearance, and a sync that scored the finale of one of television's most iconic shows, Tanner Usrey is no longer just a promising name on the Texas circuit. He is a legend in the making, one who transcends genre, transcends trend, and speaks directly to something ancient and honest inside the human chest. He started in a small town nobody had heard of. He worked a job nobody glamorizes. He drove a van through 100,000 miles of American highway to earn the right to stand on the stages he stands on today. And he did all of it without betraying one syllable of who he is. That is not just a music career. That is a statement. That is a life lived with conviction. Now, we want to hear from you. What hit you hardest about Tanner Usrey's story? The fact that he spent years working as a skip tracer while secretly becoming one of the most compelling voices in American music? Or is it the raw honesty of these days, an album that dared to say out loud what most artists are too afraid to even whisper? Drop your answer in the comments below. We read every single one. And if this story moved you, if it reminded you that real music still exists and real people still bleed for it, smash that subscribe button right now and ring the notification bell, because every day on this channel, we go this deep on the artists, the moguls, and the legends who built empires from nothing. You do not want to miss what is coming next. Tanner Usrey is proof that the road, however brutal, always leads somewhere worth going. The only question is, do you have the courage to stay on it?